Oh, I could talk about that. Well, my number one most valuable thing is my time. And how I use my time is the most important to me. Becoming more and more disciplined over my time is the most important to me. And one of the key things that you really hit is that it's a gift.
So first, man, I'm always excited to connect in so many ways. Special guest here tonight. We're gonna talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm gonna let her introduce herself because I can't go into what she's already done. Just give us a quick introduction.
Sure. Well, my name is Kara Atkinson. I am the founder and the managing director of Liquid Gold Capital and Assets, which are two sister companies that are designed, number one, for acquiring assets as well as providing a liquidity for other people that are looking to grow their own assets as well. And so we serve for purposes of humanity and being able to provide different funding vehicles, different funding options,
Right.
as well as our own investments. So that way we can continue to propel the options that are available to people all around the world.
Man, and it's so powerful what you're doing. And the thing that gets me excited is that wasn't always the situation. Like you had to navigate to move into that space. So I really want to talk about, because you know how I am. I'm about the people who overcome adversity and then flip it, turn it into positivity, and then expand it to the world. So talk a little bit about your own personal journey, how you got to where you are right now.
Oh man.
I know. Let's go. Let's get it. You here, I'm here. It's a beautiful night. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Hey, that's the tagline.
No question.
That's actually how it all started because,
Okay.
back in my day, I really, really, really loved fast cars and
Okay.
race cars, to be exact. And when I was growing up, I actually came from a level of poverty that I was given a gift as a result of. So I like to say that when we have access to a comfortable environment, that can actually be a disservice sometimes.
Sure.
Whereas when we're put into a place like myself where it was very uncomfortable, there was nothing else to do except for to go up.
Right.
And to do whatever it takes to figure out a way to get up. So of course, naturally, I Googled it.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. We got access to so many resources.
Yeah.
So you just was like, look, I'm about to climb this ladder,
Yeah.
and I want to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I did.
Keep going.
I did. So I would go to the library where I'd get my little library card.
Yep.
And I'd get access to the internet for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever that free amount was.
Sure.
And I would go every day and I would learn something and I would grow and I would
Man.
discover and I would design.
Man.
And of course, Google said that the way to get rich was either to become a doctor. And I knew I couldn't do that because I'm not good with smells or blood
Sure.
or the alternative was to be a lawyer.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll be a lawyer then.
Gotcha.
That seems like a good option for me.
Sure.
And that's what I thought I was going to do. And I went into every class that I could take and I was advanced in all of my studies. And I sacrificed everything that I had an option to sacrifice. So that way I could work at night, go to school during the day, take additional classes, do additional work so that I could graduate sooner or I could graduate at the highest level to earn scholarships. And that's what I did.
Man, first and foremost, I'm just excited that you had that grind, right? You got that little bit of like, okay, let's make this happen, and I'm gonna figure it out regardless.
Yes.
And that's so powerful because we live in a time right now where people don't have that same spirit,
Right.
as you already know. But I want to talk a little bit about what two things. One, we're speaking at an event coming up, the Polo event that's happening here in Arizona, which is a big deal. I want you to talk a little bit about the right mindset that you're going to need, especially in business, to navigate and keep on going when everybody says you should stop. And let's keep it 100, because the listeners, the people viewing, I want you to feel her spirit because she brings so much more to the table than you're seeing right now because you're watching it via television. But I promise you, beast.
Thank you.
Oh yeah,
Definitely,
absolutely.
thank you. But my topic is based off of my own personal lens.
Right.
And I know that from where I come from, there was a level of evolution that had to occur, not just in my skill sets, but also and even more primarily in my mindset. And that mindset began to evolve as I started to earn more money.
Sure.
And I was a classic kid who came up with nothing. As soon as I had a taste of it, I spent it all.
Right,
And I
right.
bought vacations and Gucci purses and everything you could imagine.
Enjoying your life.
I loved it. I
You're
spent
so
it,
funny.
and I spent it before I earned it. I was
Gotcha.
on it.
Gotcha.
Because in my mind, I thought this was always going to be a reality.
Right.
A part of that comes from being naive and young.
Sure.
But people do that to this day, no matter how old they are. And to evolve from being somebody that came from literally nothing to a person that now owns a multitude of different companies
Right.
on a global scale with an emphasis on the ultra elite and the highest level of finance took a lot
Right.
of reprogramming.
Right.
And so I'm what you would consider to be a product of my own teachings, or the teachings that I've obtained and I've retained and I've become. And I think that's a gift I can now give as a result of that. So some of the key things are understanding that wealth is more to do with your capacity than it has to do with your capability.
Okay.
And when your capacity increases, you also simultaneously are increasing your ability to give. And so many people think that these two things can be potentially separate.
Sure.
And I would suggest that they are actually the same. And as we have understandings of different laws within the universe,
Sure.
such as the law or the Hermetic principle of polarity, this is a principle which states that essentially as far as you go to the left is as far as you can go to the right.
Absolutely.
And this is always an equal measure. And this is actually a vibrational principle. And this is the same exact thing that I've applied to my life and saying, well, if I've been extreme on the poverty side, then there's nothing that holds me back from the top.
And that goes back to having the right mindset and
Yeah.
being able to visually see that.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, it's so interesting that you say that, because we had an opportunity earlier today. We spoke at Mount Zion's, and we spoke to the high school students.
Okay.
And we talked to them about really understanding how powerful their imagination is.
Ooh, yes.
And so I need you to think about that, because I'm sure when you know,
Mm-hmm.
people always think that adults are kids with that have grown into adulthood, but they're still kids.
Yep.
And so the truth is, the same message that that we gave to the students is the same message you're going to give to the business community as well. Is that fair?
I would say that it doesn't matter at what age or which stage you're in. It's about your ability to evolve. And your ability to evolve has more to do with the control that you have over your mind.
Sure.
And your mind specifically in regards to visualization.
Right.
And visualizing disciplined visualization, not just allowing it to run rampant
Right.
and allowing it to become consumed with problems or issues or lack
Yes.
or loss or wanting, but actually to be filled with potential, possibility, abundance.
Yes.
And that can be seen, you know, some people think that's like fairy tale, or they think that's daydreaming, and
Right.
some people actually are daydreaming. And the difference between somebody who is becoming through visualization
Right.
versus someone who's daydreaming by visualizing is the actions in between.
Right. And what are you doing to make it a reality? And I love that. And so two things that get me excited. And I already, when we first connected, we actually connected. We were at church a couple of days ago, and the reason why you were a little bit tardy was because you was doing something that I'm really connected to. And I want you to spend some time talking about God, because you know how much, I mean, you know, I think it's, because it's
Absolutely.
important. Like, I don't think people, because, you know, we
Absolutely.
live in a society now where people have separated themselves based on things that we shouldn't be separating ourselves on.
Yeah.
Race, religion, I mean, it goes on and on. And so I'm not afraid of none of that stuff, as you already can tell how I move. But I need you to talk about it, because I think it's important. And I want people to listen to what she's getting ready to share.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, you know, it doesn't matter what religious constraints someone may be believing in or abiding by. At the end of the day, there is an infinite creator.
Right.
I call that creator God.
Yep.
And my relationship with God continues to evolve every moment of every day because I spend time with God.
Right.
I came from Bible study tonight talking about God.
Right.
We actually, topic of discussion was the difference between a sloth versus an abundant, the slave versus the master,
Right.
the person who wishes versus the person who has. And the biggest key is that this is all in the Bible.
Right.
This is also listed in the Quran. These are listed all throughout different textbooks within history.
Sure.
And there's a reason why we are actually genetically disposed to worship. There is a vibrational frequency shift that occurs when you go from listening to music that's of the world, is what we would consider it, to music that is for God, whatever language that may be. In fact, you don't even need to understand the language to be able to tune into the vibrational frequency that's created during that worship.
Right.
Which is why you can walk into a room and feel the energy.
Right.
And the same is true when you go the other way. If you walk into a room and there was a disagreement, you could just feel the tension.
Right, something's
It's
not
like,
right.
Oh, I don't. You need Jesus.
Right. You like, look, we just got to give you love.
Something.
No question.
But at the end of the day, the highest vibrational frequency that exists is love.
Yes.
And love is something that is what, at the end of the day, my belief system is that God is love.
Right.
And when you tune into the highest level of yourself, there's actually a part of you that is not inside of you, and it's actually external, it's eternal.
Sure.
And that eternal part is what I believe guides us. I believe it also is what gives us those visions. The ability to even want more. Because what I want is completely different than what Sally Mae or Jessica or Becky or whoever other person may be. Equally valuable, but God gave me a vision. God gave me a purpose.
Right.
God gave me discernment. And he gave that same thing to them, and he gave the same thing to them, and he gave the same thing to you.
Everybody has it. And
Everybody.
It's so powerful that you say that, because a lot of times we don't realize he's already given us the gifts, but we don't want to accept them, and we don't want to trust that he gave them to us. And that's big. And so I want to take our conversation a little bit different direction, because I really want you to think about when you were a kid and when you were growing up and the things that you saw, and if you had insight or direction or just some, things you would plant for that person to take away, what would you say to a younger you right now? I know, and that's how we do it though, because I want people to understand, like, if you can go back in time, what would you say so you can prepare yourself for what's next? Because whatever you say, people who tune in will get the same message at their age right now.
Wow, that's powerful. That's a good question, actually. For me, in my childhood, if I could tell myself something today, it would be that I am going to trust that you will become what you need right now.
Wow. So if you had a microphone, this would be it. You could drop it and just leave. That's it.
That's it.
Well, but I love what you're saying, because we get so impatient and we want it in our time, but the truth is we're not prepared for what we're asking for.
Yes.
We're not mature enough to take it and move it to the next level. So I think that's powerful what you just shared. And for those people who are going through the process, remember, there's still things you need to learn as you're going through it. Is that fair?
Well, it all ties back into what we started with.
Yep.
Because as you evolve financially, you have to evolve mentally, which by default means your capacity needs to increase.
Yep.
And that applies to all things of life. Your finances are just a reflection of everything else that's going on.
Absolutely. Well, and the thing that I love about us having this conversation is two things. One, what you're doing is unbelievable. You're helping a bunch of people. It's a big deal. And then not only that, the fact that you are so humble and grounded, and you realize that you didn't just get it, right? Somebody gave it to you, which is a blessing. And that's big for people to understand. Like, you realize you've been gifted this opportunity,
Yeah.
and what you do with it and how you discern how you move is invaluable.
Yes.
Speak to that, please. Go ahead.
Oh man. Oh, I could talk about that. Well, my number one most valuable thing is my time. And how I use my time is the most important to me. Becoming more and more disciplined over my time is the most important to me. And one of the key things that you really hit is that it's a gift. One of the pieces about the Bible study tonight actually was discussing how our job is to become skilled at our gifts. And so many people take their gifts for granted.
Sure.
Or they may not even know what their gifts are.
Right.
They've spent almost no time focused on their relationship with themselves.
Sure.
Which is ultimately oftentimes a relationship with God. However you want to look at that, it's a relationship. And that ship is moving somewhere. It's going somewhere. There's a direction in which it's flowing. And it gets there based off of all of the different benefits that are coming with the ship that you're on. And so many people don't even know they're on a ship. They don't even know they have gifts. So their step one is to figure out, what are your God-given gifts, which all of us have gifts. We're all born with them. But your job, my belief system, is our duty is to become disciplined in developing the skills.
Right.
So that we can then become a gift from the gifts we've been given.
Man, and what you just said is so profound. But even going back, you're 100% correct. Mm-hmm. Our time is invaluable. Yeah. And so, I appreciate you first being our guest on University Through Adversity. I love you being open to the audience, sharing a little bit about things that you faced, overcame, and how you're still going, right? Because there's more to the story, right? Yeah. And I want to say this, and a good friend of mine, Ryan, said we get to write our own narrative. Mm-hmm. So we're still writing our story right now. Mm-hmm. And so I just appreciate you taking time. And with that being said, we appreciate everything that you have brought to the table. And we're excited that you were our guest on University Through Adversity.
My pleasure. Well, thank you for having me and giving me an opportunity to speak to your audience. I hope that there was value that's been given and people can take what I've said and hopefully go farther with it, and become all that they're capable of being. You can find us online. The website is liquidgoldcapital.com. You can also find us on Facebook under Liquid Gold Capital, on Instagram, Liquid Gold Capital, and then naturally, of course, on LinkedIn, where all the cool kids play, at Liquid Gold Capital as well. So I look forward to connecting with everyone, and I'm here to answer any questions or add any value that's needed.